What is up, everyone? You guys caught me drinking. What is up? Hope everybody is well and making your dreams come true. Thank you so much for checking out the show. Make sure that you do the usual, hit the like button on your way in, and make sure you say hello so that we can greet you. Thank you guys so much for checking out the show. I appreciate it. Cynical Optimist number 9 is first in the building. I do appreciate you showing up, man. I do appreciate you showing up. I do have a few videos to show for tonight. So we're going to make it do what it do. Sometimes I think that I don't play enough. Sometimes I don't think that I play enough, a long enough intro. So some people play 5-6 minute intros, so. But make sure you say hello so we can greet you. Thank you guys so much for checking out the show tonight. Appreciate it. Much love. It's really nice here. Well, it's getting nice, I should say, up here in the CT. What's up, High Vibe? Beautifully said. What is up? Hello to you. Out of sight, out of mind. Good evening from NC. The weather's nice in NC, right? My best friend lives there. And he said it's supposed to be 70s or 80s or something like that. So, or maybe 80 this weekend or something. I don't know. Anyway, thank you guys so much for checking out the show. I do appreciate it. Make sure you hit the like button, all that kind of good stuff. All right. So tonight I got a few videos to show. I don't think we'll get through everything I wanted to show, but I wanted to kind of demonstrate from a lady's perspective, what is going on and what their thoughts are about feminism. And I am not one to crash out on ladies for whatever they want to do or whatever they want to watch or whatever. That's just me. But a lot of brothers have a problem with feminism. I have a daughter, I have a mother, and I want them to be the best that they can be and be, everything that they want to be. Especially for my daughter who's on her way up. And I can admit that the feminism has opened some doors, but I also can admit that it's gone a little too far. It has gone a little too far. So we got this new feature on here. We're going to try this out for today. We can create a poll. New QR code. What is the point of the QR code? So I got some new options here in StreamYard. We're going to try it. Has feminism been a net positive? I'm going to try this out here. Yes, no. Depends. Let's see. Depends. Okay. All right, what is this? All right. Has feminism, let me make sure I spell everything right. My attention to detail is terrible. Has feminism been net positive? Yes, no, depends. All right. So, all right. Make sure you hit the like button. We're going to create this poll here. I don't know where it's going. If you can see the poll on your end, make sure you hit that. I don't know where it is. Can you all see the poll? Can you all see the poll? Hey, Mod. Make sure you hit the like button. What's up? Rhonda Payne. What's up? What's up? We don't see it yet. Where is it? Start and show. Start and show. Okay, let's try that. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. Start and show. Show. Can you guys answer that? I don't even know if you can answer it. I don't understand that. I'm using StreamYard for this, so I don't know. Type 1, 2, or 3 in the chat. Oh, I gotta do this myself. It's not gonna do it for myself. That's crazy. All right, we're gonna do this in the chat. That makes no sense. All right, let me see here. I'm gonna do the same thing. We're gonna take this down here. I'm gonna hide that here. That makes no sense. That makes 0 sense. You gotta type 1, 2, 3. All right, we'll start this in the chat here. Well, it asks you to type 1, 2, or 3 in the chat, and that's crazy. I'm not doing that. Ask a question. All right, we'll try it again here. Okay. All right. Has feminism been a net positive for everyone? For everyone. All right. We'll try that one here. Okay. All right. Here we go. Not seeing. Good evening, JFVW9IV. Okay. So you should be able to see that now. Okay. All right. So I got a few videos to do, some warm-up videos, and there's 3 kind of main videos. I doubt we'll be able to get through them all. So it's Friday night, so we can rock out together. If you want to buy me some smoothies, I would appreciate it. Support the channel. Also, I got to pay for StreamYard too, if y'all didn't know that. So support the channel. At least at the minimum, hit the like button so we can get to people in here and view this stuff. All right. So let's see. Okay, we'll go over to Instagram here, and we will start off with some videos. Do a share screen here, and we'll do this here. So we got a few of them in the play here. I'd like to know your thoughts, your opinions, as always.
%52 of women ages 20 to 39 are now child-free. You know what that means? You understand what this means? We're the majority. We are the majority. There are more of us.
This is one of the saddest things I've ever seen. And to think they got mad at me when I said modern feminism was just a plot to drive women out of the home, destroy the modern family, and rip a hole in society. Now they're celebrating doing the thing that they claimed wasn't happening, as usual. Listen, I just got one thing to say to this video and the women in the comments celebrating being able to take vacation after vacation after vacation because they made the choice to remain quote unquote child-free. You guys are all going to be so sad and devastated when you hit menopause or when you hit the end of your fertility window, which may happen before you hit menopause. There will be literally nothing you can do at that point. Nothing you can do. There will be no eggs left to retrieve, even in an office. There will be nothing you can do. And that may be the moment when you really, really decided that you want more than anything to have a baby, to have descendants, to have a family, people to take care of you as you grow old. And it will be too late. There will be nothing that you can do. Now, I'm not trying to be mean, and I'm certainly not trying to hurt women who have fertility problems, but if you are making this choice based on the lies that are being sold, like endless vacations or not having to strap a toddler into a car seat on your way to the store, like this woman said in another one of her videos, then you are being walked down a garden path that you may never be able to get off before it's too late. This is a movement that's been forced upon women, imposed upon women, and enforced by other women for decades now. And it has done endless amounts of harm. And I'm just going to say it. There's a certain percentage of women who just never want to have children. They're not wired that way, and that's okay. That's totally fine. But it isn't that percentage. That percentage, that's brainwashing.
52%.
That was from Ask a Brother podcast. I guess that was a show that they were going to discuss. Shout out to Jeff St. James. All right, let's see. So what are you guys' thoughts about that? Okay, here's another one. Here's everybody wants a high value man, right?
I want a high value man. I want a man who's highly visible, highly successful, wealthy. What does the reality look like of being partnered to someone like that?
And I don't think my generation did.
Our generation is big on we want a 6-figure. No, everyone wants a millionaire, not even 6 figures. We love a high value man is what they're quoted as.
We built together. We grew together. I think we wanted a man that had the same ambition and qualities as we did. Like for me, it was important to have a man who loved God. It was important to have a man of high integrity and of good character. I don't think any of my friends or I went out searching for that 6-figure guy, right? You want a high-powered man. You want a man who's ambitious. You want a man who, excels at his job. He can't do that for the most part and be everything you want him to be. Like, what is sustaining your relationship? What is your relationship rooted in? What's important to you?
So this says back in my day, I don't know, I think Better Love Movement, aka Anita, is posting this. We didn't require the finished product, just the ingredients for it. We were okay with coming together and doing it together, in all caps. It was actually more meaningful for us to do it together. And that is why more and more women will go without the man they say they want. There are lots of women waiting at the finish line. Go into the stable and pick a dark horse, pick a winner before he actually wins. So that came from her particular channel. Feminism destroyed Black love. Okay. Thank you for that, Divine Photos. Appreciate that. Yeah. Now that people are waiting at the end of the line here. So this is Ari Lennox, loses it. Feminism sold the wrong dream. Let's see what she has to say.
I thought it was everything to have a house, to have just
pay attention,
be taking care of myself, and all of these things, all of these ambitious goals of mine that I've been able to achieve. I thought that would be attractive. And in meeting men and dating a lot of successful
they don't give a
men,
shit.
None of them would ever talk about how exciting it is that I've invested in properties, or would ever even want to come to see my house. At all. It was very much so, no, just come over here, or it felt like all my accomplishments were minimized.
Wow.
And so I realized, I don't know what I was thinking growing up, thinking that like me being accomplished and independent would attract others.
That's the lie. that's media lying to you. Hook, line, and stinker. You're looking at the actions of the behaviors of men that don't give a shit of you being a strong, independent queen. And instead of just saying, hey, listen, I'm experiencing this time and time again, and not reorienting the way that you think from the feminist mind virus. Instead, you now say the men are just minimizing me. They're just hating on me. Like, why can't they understand? As opposed to thinking like an intelligent adult, perhaps I was lied to. Perhaps the majority of men don't think this way. And perhaps you shouldn't establish negative characteristics if the majority of men think that way. Perhaps that's the normal, man. Perhaps what you're doing is denying biology.
I'm not getting rid of my big dogs. They say that's another thing that scares men away. Like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
I want a farm man anyway.
Yeah.
I want cows. Like, I need you to like big animals.
It's so crazy because it really is hard to find a man that can just
rid of
really
your
support
dog.
you and be happy and be like, look at my girl. Like, you think that everybody wants to praise Jay-Z and Beyonce, but a lot of y'all could not be Jay-Z sitting there in the crowd cheering for her like that. They can't. And Jay-Z be like this.
Yeah.
Happy yourself. And y'all be praising, but y'all not Beyonce. Okay, but you not Jay-Z either.
Ooh.
Is there a man?
No.
Who you texting?
Hell no. No one.
Okay.
This guy texted I called. We talked last night, but now I'm thinking in my mind, I'm traumatized. Like, I don't even know if I want to be on the phone with anyone anymore.
That's crazy.
Because I was getting to know a guy. My point is that now I'm afraid to talk to a guy on the phone. I don't want my time wasted. And then
And remember a second ago when they were talking about why men reach a certain age and are often seen as more valuable, whereas women are. It's shit like that. That's the baggage that that men are talking about.
I thought it was that.
So I can see the mixed messages that are going forth. Go out there, get the bag, do this, do that. But if you become too strong, too independent, then some guys are not going to want that. Whether they say it's intimidation, or they say that they're just not attracted to that. They want, a housewife or someone who's fit, feminine, friendly, who's going to be cooperative, get on your program, get on the man's program. That is, a lot of guys would say it's not intimidation. Okay. So it's an interesting phenomenon because you can't sit back as a woman. You can't sit back and do nothing. I can admit that. You can't sit back and do nothing. You got to, just sitting at home waiting for the guy to come through the door or come knock on your door one day. But also, you can't think that the accomplishments are going to make you more valuable to a successful guy because of your accomplishments. Because that guy is going to want to take you on trips and do things together with you for the first time. He's going to want to take you on trips. He's going to want to introduce you to things, take you to new restaurants. If you've done it all, he's going to feel like he has no place. Guys want to lead. A lot of guys want to lead. I know I do. So Gen X didn't go searching for six-figure guys because times were different. Young people weren't making that kind of money. Lots of five-figure guys, LOL, and five-figure women. Yeah, well, you better be making six now, right? So High Vibe says she's with her on the dog thing. Y'all hit the like button, answer the poll question, all that kind of good stuff, right? Okay, what else we got here? Here's Leslie. Oh, I played this the other day, right? Didn't I?
We sat next to each other courtside at a basketball game.
No, I was on Dr. Thunders today. And I thought this was a man. I don't know. Is this a man? I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I thought this was a man. Is this a man or not?
Where you were given a disciplinary card to act appropriately. What did the card say?
It says that you have to have some act right or they're going to throw you out.
What was the incident that prompted you to start getting this card?
Probably the way that I yell at the players and the referees and then jump up and almost run on the court. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, that's not ladylike behavior. You yelling at referees. Here's a guy. Think about if he were to take you out to a nice game, he's going to take you out, have a good time, and here you are dressed like this. Take you out, buy you a hot dog or a pretzel or whatever, and you're going to be yelling at the referees and getting in their faces, jumping on the court, screaming and acting a fool. I believe she's female born. Okay. Listen, I was not being funny. Okay, all right.
Yes. And
you saw that, right?
No, I didn't want to put you on Front Street, but I did.
Look at that. There was a picture of her not wanting to be like, I don't know this person.
See you bark at a young man with an afro.
He was hot. And you knew that was well in my right to do that.
And so it's interesting as you talk about how men should do better and get better. You're barking at a young 24-year-old doing their job.
Absolutely.
No apologies to that.
None. I'm 58. I'm about to die. I should be able to do whatever I want.
And what's the logic there?
I'm 58 and I should be able to do what I want.
We sat next to each other court.
Okay, that's going to be very attractive. I hope ladies are not falling for that one here. We are not your girlfriends. Here's a good one here. We are not your girlfriends. I gotta mute this music there. I want to complain to him, but then I remember he's going to think logically and give solutions instead of being dramatic with me. We don't want to hear that. We do not want to hear that. You come to us with a problem, we're going to give you solutions, answer to the problem, right? So we're not your girlfriends. Here I wrote, proud of that, brother. Let me like my own comment there. So, all right, let's see what else here. Oh, here's 8 qualities of the man the ladies want.
8 things that women might want in a man, and the trade-off that you're going to get that you got to accept.
Here's the trade-off, y'all.
Number one, I want a successful, rich provider man. But then you have to be prepared to accept that he's going to work a lot, have less emotional bandwidth for you, and his work is probably going to come first. So if you want security, you're not going to get constant availability. Number two,
So I'm going to tell you right now, that really, really bothers me. You know, sometimes I want to make a video or do something else or correct papers or do what I got to do. And, it's not, you're not giving me enough time and attention and this. I can't deal with that. I really, really can't deal with that. I really, really can't deal with that. So, let me see here. Do this one.
I want a very ambitious, driven man. But then you have to accept that his identity is probably tied to his achievements. He's probably restless and always dissatisfied. And he's not very interested in his emotional processing.
We're not your girlfriends. This emotional stuff's got to stop. And here's a lady saying this. Plain ladies, for the most part.
Number three, I want a confident, assertive, masculine leader. Then you're going to have to accept he's going to have a lot of strong opinions, blunt communication, not very emotionally intelligent, and resistant to being managed or corrected.
I disagree about the emotional intelligence part. I think I recorded a video today that's coming out on Monday about that. Maybe I'll address it again, this whole emotional intelligence thing. That's gotta stop. A man who's in control of his emotions and can control the emotions of his home and people around him is an emotionally intelligent man. You want us to, as the previous video mentioned, share in the trauma bonding and share in the being dramatic, and we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. What's up, AJC, man? I appreciate you, brother. I really do appreciate you. $20 for interest fee and greetings. Where's the rest of y'all interest fees? Man, and what's up? A couple more people joined. Detro 08861. Appreciate you coming in. Saw somebody else come in. Chaos Rain is in the building. Appreciate y'all. Make sure you hit the like button into the poll. Appreciate y'all. Pirate Broadcaster, Chance Rogers. Appreciate y'all coming in. Appreciate y'all.
Number four, I want a man that takes charge and plans everything. But then you must be able to accept he's probably not going to be very collaborative in decision making. He's going to want to make the decisions. His way sometimes becomes the default. And you're going to have to let go of your control in quite a lot of things.
Can y'all do that for the type of man that y'all want? Can y'all do that? Can y'all do that?
You can't outsource the leadership and then micromanage the leadership. Number five, I want a man with a high libido until he's wanting to have sex 6 times a day. Because he's going to want it a lot. He's going to get frustrated if intimacy drops because you're sick or sad. And that's going to be his major bonding mechanism. Probably not emotional intimacy. Number six, I want a man who's emotionally open and vulnerable. Well, he's probably going to be a little emotionally messy, insecure at times, needing reassurance.
I don't know about all that. Needing reassurance. This is an alpha dude who knows what he's doing. He might need it from time to time. He might put up fronts outside and then come home and want a nice, soft woman. He might.
Not always being the strong one, because emotional access comes with emotional weight, unless he has spent years learning how to regulate himself. Number seven, I want a protector until he's super hyper aware of any risks. Doesn't want you to go out. And that protective instinct could feel restrictive. And he sees a lot of perceived threats because protection comes with a lot of vigilance, not necessarily softness. And number eight, I want a man who's super attractive. Do you, girl? Because he's going to get a lot of attention from others. Women are going to be in his DMs. You might have some insecurity triggers, and you're going to have a need for strong trust and boundaries. Because beauty draws attention, whether you like it or not. To go to part two with what men want in women.
I didn't watch that one. Maybe I'll do that another time. That whole thing about protection, that is definitely something that is a stressful thing. I'm going to tell you from a law enforcement perspective, that is a difficult thing for to turn off, and a lot of guys end up you can get burnt out because you're in hyper vigilance mode all the time. And your adrenaline and cortisol and all these different stuff is going on all the time. And that is not a good mix. So let's see what else here. Let's see. Here's a brother who's on his game.
When I find myself in time.
I got to mute this stuff, right? So this brother's about to go play golf. She wants to have some fun time. He got a pink car or whatever. So No. No. He going to play golf. This is dude's on his game. At least he closed the door, right? All right, let's see. What else do I got here? Got some police videos in here. What else do I got in here? These are short stuff there. I'm not want to download or anything. Those are pants. I get ads about pants and stuff. Here's one. Here's the lady here.
In her very masculine demeanor, said on a podcast that marriage is slavery. So y'all know Leslie Jones. If you don't Google her, she said her daddy trained her and brought her up to never get married because marriage is slavery. They were talking about like trad wives. And she said she would never be a trad wife. She said she would never be any kind of wife because being a wife is slavery. So she's the one that's has a lot of masculine energy, and I'm getting the vibe that she's just butthurt because she's not married, even though she says she doesn't want to be married. Because what man is going to marry a woman who's very, very masculine and has super alpha energy? So what was her objectives? And this is like Leslie Jones, Black woman, and this is kind of like in line with that sprinkle chick. Like, why are Black women convincing and selling the narrative that women don't need to be married? You don't have to be a trad wife. But again, I want to know what's wrong with being a trad wife. If you don't know what a trad wife is, it's a traditional wife. Stay at home, take care of the kids. That's how it was back in the 50s. But somehow with feminism, we've been taught and groomed that we need to be independent and, take care of ourselves, and we don't need a man. Me personally, I'm always going to be a traditional woman, and I think men are supposed to lead the household. And I would happily follow my husband if he was leading my household. But then again, I wouldn't marry like a beta male. So it would have to be a guy who's going to lead the household, because if you read scripture, that's the way it's supposed to be. But Leslie Jones, I think she's just butthurt because no one will marry her. And now she's trying to convince women that being married is like slavery. Tell me the correlation down in the comments. And if you haven't seen the video, Google it and come back and let me know what your thoughts are. I think it's nonsense.
So I think that I definitely agree with that assessment that she is a little hurt. And listen, I got to be honest, to go through life and wake up at 58 or whenever she came to this epiphany, and to understand that nobody wants to marry you, and that, I don't believe she has kids, and everything you've done has been for naught. Meanwhile, you look over to a male counterpart who had done the same things and been viable, and women are beating down his door. That's gotta hurt, and that's gotta sting, particularly if you wanted to have children. That's gotta hurt. I don't understand how some women have no hobbies or interests. A relationship is not a form of entertainment. Listen, there's a lot of ladies like that. A lot of ladies do not have hobbies. They just don't have them. You as a man, and believe me, as a man, that is extremely frustrating to have to be your entertainment. It is extremely frustrating to have to be your entertainment. I'm bored. Let's go out. Let's do this. Well, I got to pay for all this stuff. I got to drive all these places, right? And as I mentioned, I got to be the protector while we're out. I can't relax. I can't, because I got to watch. Now I got to watch myself, make sure I don't get got. I got to watch you. As AJC says, Doc says, as a man, it is indeed stressful in being alert protect mode on dates. We have less fun because of the protection mode, right? I got to be hyper vigilant all the time. So this is a thing. So this is definitely a thing. Let's see what else I got here. I don't remember what this one was. Do you know what? I don't remember. I don't think I'm going to play that one here. So here's some brothers who like to be by themselves. This is a sister who's going to talk about men who like to be by themselves and don't like to do a lot for their birthdays. This is me. I just had a birthday. Listen, I don't need all the bells and whistles. Just take me out to eat, restaurant, nice chill. My kids come over, we all have a good time. I don't need all this stuff. So not just me.
These are 5 facts about a grown man who doesn't care about his birthday. Number 1, he got used to
Not that I don't care, but it's just not a big deal to me.
handling life alone. From the time he was a boy, nobody made a big deal about his moments. So he learned not to expect anything, but to appreciate everything. Number 2, he is naturally low maintenance. To him, things like parties and gifts are just for show. For this man, peace is the real celebration. Number 3, he is the kind of man who pours into others more than he receives.
100. That is definitely me. That is definitely me. So you get used to not getting that stuff. What does that mean? Protection mode on a date. It means that if we're walking, let's say I take you bowling, right? We go bowling, we're going to go out to eat. That means that when we pull up to the joint, to the spot we're going to go bowling at, I'm making sure that there's nobody lurking around in the parking lot. I'm going to get out. We're going to grab our stuff, whatever we got to get, walk inside. I got to make sure that nobody's following us. Nobody's going to run up on us. Get inside the place, make sure it's a safe environment, and make sure it's not being robbed at the time you walk in there. Do what you got to do. Have a good time. Make sure that nobody talks to you crazy, depending on what you're wearing or whatever, you know. Make sure that nobody's talking to you crazy. I've been out sometimes, gone to get a drink or whatever at the bar, come back, some dude's talking to a girl, or one time I came back one time and the girl says, listen, as soon as you left, a guy, maybe I went to the bathroom. One time I went to the bathroom and the guy came, she told me that when I came back, this guy over here tried to talk to me. So, you know, how do you handle that, right? Now I got to get all upset, right? So you got to remain calm and all this kind of stuff, right? So those are just different instances of what goes on. Then when we finish bowling, I'm gonna walk you out to the car. Same thing. Make sure there's nobody lurking in the parking lot. Pull up to the restaurant. Same thing, right? Sit with my back to the door so I can watch who's coming in. Make sure the place don't get robbed or hit or whatever. That's all protection mode. That's all protection mode at all times. So if I'm out with the boys, you can relax a little bit because there's 2, 3, 4, 5 of you, right? You're just rolling up, just going to grab some wings or whatever. You can just chill out, go watch a game or whatever. Buffalo Wild Wings, watch a game, no problem, right? But by myself, okay, I'm a little bit of a target, but you know, you can protect yourself. You got your thing with you. You know, everything's okay. But now you got your woman with you. It's an extra layer. It's just an extra layer. That's what we mean by protection mode. Hope that made sense. Sour grapes. She's rejecting men before they can reject her. Well, yeah. Well, at 58, it's got to sting. It's got to sting. Me too. The women I know like that really don't know themselves. Independence is here. I've had it. They have no idea what they like to do. I know a couple of women like this. I know a lot of women like that. I know a lot of women like that who don't have hobbies. A lot. All right, everyone. Let's finish this out.
That man will give you the shirt off his back. Literally. He is solid. But when it's his turn for support, he will keep his struggles to himself because he does not want to feel like a burden to anyone. Number 4, he has learned how to make himself happy. All he needs is a quiet meal, a small prayer, and a moment alone with his thoughts. Number 5, he measures life by progress, not dates. His birthday is a day of reflection. He's going to ask himself questions like, did I improve? Is my money longer than last year? Did I do what I was supposed to do as a man? These are 5 facts.
I agree with vast majority at 98%. I think there was one point in there that I kind of disagreed with, but I definitely understood, agreed with that. And that is definitely me. I just chill, relax time. That's all I need. And it's true that I've always given out more than as I receive. So I don't expect much. And it's hard. And it's after a while, it becomes hard to receive it. And I've talked about this in previous videos, my earlier stuff. I talked about that. I had a friend who was retiring from the PD. and we wanted to throw him a big shindig, because he's a black dude and he had become the highest black dude in the place. We wanted to throw something really special for him. He's like, no, don't do it. And he got mad. Like, listen, I'm telling you not to do it. I'm like, whoa, brother. And then he and I talked after that. He's like, listen, I didn't mean to snap, but it's just, I just have a hard time with that. I said, I understand that, but we need to celebrate you and where you've come. And everyone needs to see this. And you deny other people the opportunity to help you or to celebrate you. And he eventually let us do something, but he was very uncomfortable. And I get it. You've always been given your whole life. I get it. I really do understand it. Dr. L asked him how did they handle it when a guy approached them. Tells me a lot about them. Yeah. Well, first of all, she told me about it, right? And so it definitely, how she handled it is definitely a thing, right? Go talk to him or whatever. There's some good women out there. I was on a date one time, young lady, and this dude comes in panhandling, right? So I'm like, first of all, I'm thinking, how does this dude get in this spot? And so so he goes up to her, starts asking for whatever. And she's like, talk to him, talk to me, in other words. So I appreciated that she understood, the assignment. I obviously understood my assignment, get this dude away from us and get this dude out of here. But there's some ladies out there who do understand it. But if a woman, it's the women who won't tell you, if you go to the bathroom and somebody's hitting on your woman or, that kind of stuff. So, yeah. Let's see here. Men don't have the privilege of saying things like, it's my birthday week. Then we'll be a 47-year-old princess for 7 years. For 7 days. Yeah. It's the day of reflection. Absolutely. What do I need to improve? How was everything this year? Did my bills go down? Credit cards get paid off? Did I work on myself? Am I in better shape than I was last year? All that kind of stuff. Yeah, there's some women celebrating birthday months. I don't think I would tell a man someone tried to step to me when he walked away. Why? That causes tension. I handled it and it's done. Maybe I would tell him later at home. Yeah, a friend of mine had that same situation. He was at this place and somebody who stepped to his girl, and she didn't tell him for a couple of weeks because it was somebody he knew. So, and he was heated. He was absolutely heated. And it was definitely a violation of the bro code. It was definitely 100%. It wasn't like some random stranger. And so she didn't tell him for weeks because she didn't want, him to snap off. So sometimes that is the better thing to do. I spent my birthday shoveling snow this past January. Well, I need to get done, right? I never been there. I was in the Elm Street Diner in Stamford, Connecticut last Sunday for my birthday. They've got this big milkshake with a slice of cupcakes, ice cream bars. My female friend wanted me to get it with sprinkles, a sparkler and all that. Yeah. One year I went to Mexico. I went to Mexico and they did all the sparklers and stuff. It was some big restaurant in Tulum, Mexico. They did all the sparklers and stuff. I swear, it was everybody's birthday in there. Like every 5 minutes, they were walking out with these sparkler cakes. I'm like, it can't be everybody's birthday in there. So, but the girl I was with, she did that sparkler thing for me. Yeah, you don't want the attention on you. Absolutely, Indigo. Absolutely, you don't want that attention. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it was definitely messed up. definitely ultimate definitely. Yeah. It was definitely grimy. It was definitely grimy. And I knew the dude too. We all kind of, I'm not going to go into too much detail. Somebody listening going to figure out what I'm talking about. But it was definitely grimy. It was definitely grimy. Let's see here. Here's where some ladies are messing up with the feminism here. You think you can act like ladies. Not all of you all, obviously. But here's some ladies trying to move like men.
Hi. You see, ladies, that is how you take your power back. I took him to Nobu, let him crack, and sent his ass home in an Uber pool. Now let's see how he likes it.
Yeah, I just had to be the best man of my life.
Now I got to mute it here because they're playing music here. So, yeah. This dude high-fiving people he didn't even know. Listen, that is not a flex. This is obviously a skit, but that is not a flex. Yeah, a lot of people were there for the birthday that day. Sparklers and all the stuff coming off. I had to sing happy birthday. Yeah, I don't want any of that. Listen, I'm with you. I'm with you, Indigo. I don't really like that. The thought is nice and all that, but we don't need all that. Let's see here. Here's one. Well, she's going to try to spin this, but it says most successful men have a wife. Most successful women are single. She's going to spin it, but this is worth listening to.
Keep seeing people post this fact that most successful men are married and most successful women are single. You know why that is? Because most women will give up their dreams, will alter everything that they had planned for their lives in order to help build their man. Women get in relationships, get married, have children, and lose themselves. Whereas men, sometimes their role don't change. It's 2 or 3 kids in the house and he's still able to go play basketball every Thursday. Don't got to worry about finding no sitter because usually she the one who looking for the babysitter. But see, when you single, you ain't got to worry about nobody but yourself. So, of course, single women are more successful than married women. Their lifespan is also longer. That's why y'all don't be believing it, but it is a lot of women out here right now who happy being single.
If you say so. I don't think that's true, but I didn't look it up. I don't think it's true that single women's lifespan is longer than married women. I don't think that's true, but I could be wrong about that. Define successful. Yeah. 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 All right, let's see. A couple more of these. And y'all see these? Supposedly these videos right here come up from Iran. I'm hesitant to play it, but if you can see these little Lego kind of things, if you go over to Instagram, maybe type in Lego, but supposedly they're coming from Iran. I'm not going to play it here, but here's another one here. And they're trolling the US, saying you guys are messing up and stuff. They're pretty funny, and they're raps. Here's another one here. Iran is trolling our dollar store Captain America hard. It's crazy funny. Success made my dating pool disappear. This is pretty good.
No, yeah. My personal experience is definitely the pool is smaller for a lot of different reasons, right? Like, I feel like there are a lot of things about me that are just like very extreme. It's not like she just went to an Ivy League school. She went to Harvard. It's not like she just went to one Ivy League school. She went to 2. It's not like she's just, doing whatever. She's a lawyer. It's not like she's got 5,000 followers on Instagram. She's got 400,000, it's like, whoa. Hold on. Right. I have an awareness that can be overwhelming for some, and it's not going to be for every man. Even if I've been in situations also where I'm like, this person is drawn to me. They like me more than they thought they would because I think they hear all of those things on paper and they think I'm not even going to like her because she's going to be stuck up or whatever. And I'm like actually pretty chill. And they're just like, dang, what? And it still can't work because it's like, oh, but I don't know how to feel about walking into a room and people are like, oh my God, hi, I love your content. Or I love her, her, it's a lot. It can be a lot. And then also in the way that I show up in conversations that I might sound smart or, be able to pick apart their argument unintentionally. It's just what I went to school for 3 years to do. And so for me, I'm fine with that because in the times that I've tried to force it and been like, no, I promise it won't be an issue. In the times where I'm just like, it's only an issue if you make it be an issue because it's not an issue for me. It has still been an issue. The income piece as well. And I always say, I don't want a man who makes more than me or who makes just as much as me so that he can take care of me. Like, that's not what I want. If he does, great, fantastic. I just don't want to be resented, right? Like, I don't want my life to be full of bad vibes because this person is like
full of bad vibes.
You know, because this person is like, I can't keep up with her, or I'm not able to give her things that she can give her. I'm like, I just don't want that, right? Yeah. Take care of me, sure, fine, fantastic. But you just can't be grumbling here because you think I'm doing better than you and you resent that. And therefore you take it out on me. Yeah. So that's the main reason. And as a result, like, because, you know, I might want to date Black men, I might want to date someone within a certain age range or whatever. It looks like the pool is a little bit smaller. Yeah. And listen, man, we leave it up to God's plan at that point, because what can I do? But I live a very full life. Yeah.
So she's living a full life, and she's, you know, met some issues and problems with with finding a mate. Let me take this down for a second here. Stop sharing here. Because what's up, Doc? Long time no see. Appreciate you showing up, man. Appreciate you showing up. Yes, feminism has failed its intended targets. Appreciate you showing up and appreciate the $10, man. Appreciate that. They say they live longer, but that doesn't equate to healthier. So let me put this on the screen here. And this is just a quick Google search here. Because I wanted to answer this particular question here. And, you know, this obviously deserves a little bit more time and effort here. But this comes from Psychology Today. Single women without children are happy and healthy. And actually the name of this article, why are many single women without children so happy? But in this, and I did do a search for live longer, I don't see that they live longer. In fact, according to happiness experts, Dolan explains that while men derive benefits from marriage, the same cannot be generally said for women. Dolan explains that the benefit from tying the knot because they calm down. So the men live longer. The men live longer when they're married. I don't know where it says single women do. It says they're happier. And again, that scale and rating of happiness fluctuates. You know, what our people are defining as happiness. They're more satisfied. Women who are single are more satisfied than men who are single. I'm not seeing where they actually live longer. So, and there's also been other studies talking about how they gauge and manage what success means. And all right, so one more thing here. And this one is life expectancy. And this comes from the National Library of Medicine, life expectancy and active life expectancy by marriage status, older U.S. adults, results from U.S. Medicare Health Outcome Survey. And this says results between 65 and 85 married men and women had a longer TLE and ALE. What the heck is that? TLE. Life expectancy, total life expectancy, and active life expectancy. So marriage, this says, and this is from fairly recently, 2020, says between 65 and 85 married men and women have had a longer total life expectancy and active life expectancy than unmarried men and women. For example, over 65 TLE for married was 18.6 years, 2 years longer than unmarried men, and ALE for married men was all that. So that's so. Yeah, I'm not seeing where it says that that necessarily single people live longer. So, and I thought that was always the case. Y'all make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the like button. Let's see. Answer the poll. We do have a poll going on. The hypersonic missile known as MGTOW has ended their 50-year campaign of chaos. What's up, David? She thinks men used IG followers as part of the male selection criteria. Yeah. I mean, I appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Yeah, living longer doesn't equate to better quality of life, and that's what the study I just put up there said. a better active life. So y'all make sure yeah. Appreciate y'all showing up. All right, let me see. I think I got one last video here, and then we'll get to the main stuff. Oh, this has got here's where these ladies, man. I don't know what's going on with these ladies. Hold on, I can't do this here. Remove this here. Stop screen share. Add this to the screen. These ladies out here, these teachers, and Dr. Tia San Johnson and I just spoke about this the other day. I don't know what is going on with these ladies out here, but they are off the chain. These teachers. First of all, why didn't teachers look like this when I was going to school? Here's a married Florida middle school teacher accused of SAing a sexual relationship with a 14-year-old. I mean, what is going on with this craziness here? So this is her. This is her. This is her, I guess, in lockup. Good-looking woman here. I mean, what is happening here? Going out to 14-year-olds, right? So, New Smyrna Beach, Florida, Stephanie Peterson, 26, is a married middle school teacher who has been accused of having a sexual relationship with an 8th grade student. The 14-year-old student disclosed the relationship to his parents and told them Peterson would send him nude photos. The victim reported that Peterson told them they couldn't tell anyone about the relationship or they'd get in trouble. He also said she brought him marijuana in bowls for smoking it, and his grades suffered after the relationship started, according to the Volusia County Sheriff's Office. Peterson is charged with 2 counts of lewd and lascivious battery and 1 count of transmission of harmful materials to a minor. Thoughts? Oh my God. God, it's just crazy. It's crazy. They're gonna have to start like polygraphing and doing background checks on these teachers. I don't know, man. That's wild, man. That's wild. What's up, BGS? Feminism succeeded, but women don't like the results. And they're usually married with kids. Yeah, this is crazy. This is crazy. All right. Okay, so that's enough of that. So let's get to the main stuff here. So here is a lady who I've played. Well, I think I played her before, but I've always liked her comments, her commentary. Her name is Camille Paglia, and she's going to talk about this. I don't think we'll play all of this because it's a little lengthy, but this lady, Camille Paglia, is talking about what feminism has done. AB Media is in the house. What's up to you, brother? Another married kid. Listen, they're all over the place. As Dr. Tia San Johnson said, you find one every day, every week. It's crazy. It's crazy. Crazy. Camille Paglia.
Camille Paglia has been one of the most critical voices in criticizing modern feminism since the 1990s. Today, we explore why she criticizes the very movement she identifies with and what makes her dissent so significant.
And some of these are 10, 12 years old from Camille Paglia. 10, 12. She's talking about this 10 and 12 years old. Now, Camille Paglia was a college professor somewhere up in the Northeast. I can't remember where. Like William and Mary or no, not William and Mary, like the College of the Holy Cross or something like that. So I can't remember where she was.
Now, I notice, wherever I go in the world, actually, that upper middle class career women are very unhappy. They're very unhappy, okay, even though they've achieved a certain status. And what I'm saying is that feminists have to stop blaming men for their own unhappiness. The unhappiness is due, I believe, to huge systemic changes that women, for thousands of years, women had their own world. There was the world of women, and there was the world of men. And the sexes didn't have that much to do with each other, okay? This is a brand new experiment to have this new system where now women can be economically independent now. They're no longer dependent on a father or husband or brother, okay, for their sustenance, right? And they're working side by side with men in the workplace, right? This is an experiment. It's never happened before, right? What I was saying in the book, that we may have to accept a certain amount of tension between the sexes in the workplace, right? The feminist idea—
a certain amount of tension. There's a lot of tension. Guys are running out the room, leaving doors open. You know, you got to have 3 people in the room with you when you have a conversation with a lady. A certain amount of tension. This might have been the burgeoning of the Me Too movement. Again, her videos are between 10 to 15 years old. So
that if we can just suppress men enough, women will be happy. I say no, okay? I say, okay, and it's on the basis of my own experience as a child in Italian-American immigrant community, okay, is that what women have lost is the old solidarity that they once had when they totally ruled the private sphere. The women's life all day long was with other women once, multi-generational, older women, okay, as well as the children, right? It was a huge tribal experience. And now what women are feeling is a sense of isolation and loneliness, disconnection, okay, from their old function. I'm not saying to go back. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying stop blaming men, all right? Like, for example, these marches that just happened, okay? The women were exhilarated. They were almost hysterical, okay? I don't think it had anything to do with feminism or anti-Trump or anything like that. I thought it was that women suddenly felt that surge of happiness again for being with other women, all right? You can actually see it in the Odyssey when Odysseus is washed up naked and alone. He's lost his ship, you know, on the shores of Phaeacia, and he wakes to the sound of women's voices, laughing and singing and so on. It's the Princess Nausicaa going down to do the laundry on the shore, okay? And actually, that is exactly what was going on up until fairly recently, where women were all together. They did all their chores together. They did the laundry. They did the cooking. I can remember this from my childhood in Endicott, New York, upstate New York. Among the immigrant Italian women, all 4 of my grandparents plus my mother were born in Italy. And so I actually had that experience. The experience that went on for thousands of years in the agrarian era. Women all together. In fact, my mother described as a small child in Italy how all the women would get together to do the laundry and go up the hill to Il Sorgo, which was a fountain cut out of the side of the mountain. Probably went back thousands of years to the Roman period and so on. She remembered the singing, the picnicking, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So even though people were laboring physically in the agrarian era, there was a happiness, okay, a sense of identity. There was no quest for identity. Now it's no place for an independent thinker, okay? If you were an independent thinker, you had no options as a woman except to become a nun, okay? So I know I would have been a nun, okay, 100 years ago. All right, I know it, okay? And obviously, communities are intellectually repressive in their own way. Nevertheless, we're in a period now of quest for identity, tremendous pressures on young people to form their own identity separate from those old automatic tribal and community affiliations. So I think there's a tremendous, as a classroom teacher, of now, more than 40 years, I can see this. And it's really, there's a tremendous sense of psychological dislocation among young people. And they find many ways to try to achieve some sort of identity. And part of it right now, of course, is social media, which is causing the total, entropy in terms of ability to reason, to read, to write, the old things, and so on. All right. Now, I'm also—
I can tell you that, man. There's a whole lot of craziness going on with this generation about their reading, writing skills, their attention, their attention spans. I tell the kids to close their laptops, and 5 minutes later they got them open again. They just can't concentrate. They just can't do it. So I'm not going to play too much more of this. You guys can go over here and check this out. It's Camille Paglia, Feminism, What Women Lost.
Calling for an end to this insanity of excluding biology, okay, from gender studies. Now, how in the world did this happen? All right? How did women's studies and gender studies end up teaching about gender without any reference whatever to biology or to hormones? Right? And right now, post-structuralism dominates gender studies everywhere. I spent 6 months writing my dissection of Foucault, okay, what is that, 27 years ago. Now, assignment, hello, anyone who thinks that Foucault is somehow, the master of the universe has clearly not read my exposure of him in Junk Bonds and Corporate Raiders, all right? The man was a fraud. I'm sorry. Okay, compared to Freud, okay, Freud is out and Foucault is in. Right? The post-structuralists, right, pose as leftists. Right? But what?
All right, that's enough of that. She talks about Foucault. I'm not an artsy person. I have no idea who she's talking about here. So I just want to kind of highlight her and say that she's been talking about this for a number of years. and it just continues to get worse and worse and worse, and nobody's listening to unfortunately, well, not that nobody's listening, but it's not penetrating to the places where it needs to penetrate. So let's see, here's another one here. This one is called How Feminism Accidentally Created a Mental Health Crisis. This comes from The Deep. We'll play just a little bit of this. I do have a main event that I wanted to kind of get to, but this is about the mental health crisis. We'll play a little bit of this.
That feeling was re-upped recently by Gloria in Greta Gerwig's Barbie.
Yeah, you're right about that. A lot of them hate them. And Camille Paglia would consider herself almost trans, right? She doesn't really identify with being female or male, but she's also said that she's, this whole surgery stuff is all out of control. So yeah, they don't like her. Yeah.
On the surface, the legacy of feminism is Barbie world, the world of girl power. Women dominate higher ed, lower ed, political parties, law, and medicine. But when we, like Barbie herself, leave Barbie world and enter the real world, we find post-apocalyptic hellscapes, shocking rates of depression, anxiety, and suicide among the very women and teens most receptive to that feminist foremothers mantra. It is literally impossible to be a woman.
It is literally impossible to be a woman.
That's the infamous line from America Ferrera's Gloria. At a key moment in the film, she sits Barbie down for a little real-world therapy session. Gloria informs a tearful, awakening Barbie that the system is rigged against all uterus havers. I'm just so tired of watching myself and every single other woman tie herself into knots so that people will like us. Gloria personifies a sinister, profoundly seductive therapy culture masquerading as consciousness raising. And Gloria's message? The system is rigged. America Ferrera later told the New York Times, "We can know things and still need to hear them out loud. It can still be cathartic. There are a lot of people who need Feminism 101, whole generations of girls who are just coming up and who don't have the words for the culture they're being raised in." America's analysis of the culture we're raising our girls in? The system is rigged. I'm not here to diminish the difficulties facing young girls, but I am here to say that Feminism 101 misses the boat. And the consequences for young girls, especially liberal young girls, are demonstrably deadly. They're not being raised in a man's world. They're being raised in a therapy culture that rehearses wrongs and licks wounds. Our girls are being trained in the mental habits of depressed, anxious people. Misery loves company, and among America's Gen Z, Gloria's misery has plenty of company. And it is past time for us to save the girls from Barbie's world. And here's how. Now, when I say the girls are sad, how sad are we talking? Fewer than half of Gen Zers describe their mental health as good. 39% of Gen Z Americans report going to therapy weekly, with 42% of them receiving a psychiatric disorder diagnosis. But it turns out that the mental health crisis is gendered. While 56% of Gen Z men describe their mental health as good, only 34% of women do. And when you drill down, it's not all women. More specifically, liberal young women are dragging down the mental health profile of an entire generation. This is
Ooh, the liberal women. the blue-haired nose piercings, booger nose piercings. I shouldn't laugh about that, but this is unfortunate. I believe it's tough to be a woman in Afghanistan. In America, absolutely not. Yeah, well, I guess it is when you're fighting their biology and fighting against what they want to do and their preferences and all that. They're making it difficult. Cages and prisons of their own making. That's facts. Girls are being modeled behavior of anxious and depressed women. Absolutely. What's up? The Real Complex, CMPLX, Real Complex.
not just a vibes-based claim. The data are remarkably consistent across studies and surveys. Depression, anxiety, identity confusion, and therapeutic intervention all rise faster and higher among liberal Gen Z women than any other demographic group. One of the most
septum ring, blue-haired septum rings. Crazy.
important studies was a 2022 report titled The Politics of Depression. Using the Monitoring the Future dataset, the only major U.S. survey that asks high school seniors to self-identify as liberal or conservative, researchers tracked depressive symptoms going back decades. Before 2012, there were no significant sex differences. Liberal and conservative teens looked roughly the same. But then something changed. Starting around 2012, depression among liberal girls spiked sharply, rising faster and higher than liberal boys, or conservative girls. Since 2010, liberal girls rose 0.73 points on a 5-point depression scale, where the standard deviation is just 0.89. That's not noise. That is a structural shift. So what happened? The authors of the original study argued that liberal girls suffered because they were alienated in a growing conservative political climate. In other words, the man's world of the 1960s had turned into the Handmaid's Tale level oppression, a claim that seems implausible given what America actually looked like after 2012. There's another layer to this story, one that helps explain.
Blame the men, blame the conservative men. That's what they're saying. When you have a utopian and victim worldview, depressing psychological problems are inevitable. Yeah, true that.
Explain how these patterns moved from therapy offices and into politics, classrooms, and culture. In 2014, Jonathan Haidt accepted an invitation to lunch with Greg Lukianoff, president of FIRE, who shared with him a chilling observation. While Greg had spent his career pushing back on college administrators who were suppressing free speech, in 2013, he began to find that it was now the students themselves pushing to ban speakers, censor unsafe ideas, or drive policy changes that would silence dissent. Greg, who had suffered from depression himself, also observed that in cognitive behavioral therapy, patients are taught to identify common cognitive distortions, faulty thinking patterns that both cause and worsen depression. Patterns like catastrophizing, black and white thinking, fortune-telling, emotional reasoning. CBT teaches people to notice these patterns, challenge them, and replace them with more accurate ways of thinking. But Greg observed, and Haidt agreed, that the students involved in protests, censorship campaigns, and ideological purity tests were using the very same distorted thought patterns, not as problems to correct, but as moral justifications. Catastrophe became proof of oppression. Black and white thinking became virtue. Emotional reasoning replaced evidence. Instead of learning, my thoughts may be lying to me, students were being taught, my emotional reaction proves the system is unjust. It's what Matt Iglesias calls the Taylor-Lorenz explanation, that the world is so broken, unjust, and frightening that Gen Z can't help but be depressed. Iglesias flips that logic. It's not reality making you depressed. Rather, depression makes reality look terrible, and once entrenched, it becomes a feedback loop. Catastrophizing leads to feelings of helplessness. Helplessness leads to rage or despair. Rage gets externalized. Who did this to me? Despair turns inward. What's the point? This is why the popular therapeutic language of naming feelings and validating emotions, while sometimes helpful, can also become dangerous when severed from agency. If your internal narrative constantly tells you that your suffering proves the system is rigged, your nervous system never stands down. And once that framework is culturally reinforced by movies, social media, and political rhetoric, it stops being a private mental health issue and becomes a shared worldview. Which brings...
So I'm going to leave it up there. I don't want to play too much more of that, but that's how feminism accidentally created a mental health crisis. So instead of getting help, getting therapy, looking at the world differently, they're embracing their oppression, embracing negative thoughts, catastrophizing ideas, emotion-based, and all this other type of stuff, which is destroying them. Jordan Peterson used to say, and others have also commented on the fact that, well, maybe it's not a fact, but the thought process is because these ladies are not having children and so easily swayed by so many different things that everything becomes a project. They're born with a desire to nurture. And so therefore they're nurturing a lot of things that don't need to be nurtured. Children, well, children obviously need it, but their pets, plants, things along those lines. So this is some of the ideas of what's going on here. So, and instead of someone telling them to knock it off, they are embracing blue hair and nose rings and everything else like that. Yeah. Once a person is around 30 to 40, patterns are hard to change. They are who they are. Yeah, that's definitely true. All right. So that's that one. I'll take this down here. We're almost in the main event here. So there's a lady here who's talked about the feminization of colleges. I think I played her before. Let me take this down here. So her name is Corey Clark. I'm not going to play anything that she has, but she's a psychologist, Dr. Corey Clark. Why men are opting out, the feminization of society, maiden mother matriarch. Let's see, what was the name of this? The Woke Hates This Research. Corey Clark. 5 topics in psychology they were not allowed to talk about. And this is the big one I played before, the psychological differences from worriers to warriors, the rise of women in science, in science and society. I think this was actually this was one of her first talks after she got her PhD. And she talks about her research there and how science is being changed because the ladies don't like the hard data. They want feelings. So it's feelings over facts for these types of people. Yeah, dog moms and overcompensation. So this is, pretty good here to go over there to Corey Clark and check out her stuff there on YouTube. I'm not going to play it right now, but she's definitely on to something here. Let's see, stop screen share. So before I played a video, let me see here. Hold on a second here. Screenshots. So I played I did a video before about this lady whose name is Grace Randolph. She does a lot of videos about movie reactions and things like that. I actually kind of like her. I don't agree with her a lot, but she is entertaining to me, at least to watch. So in this video, she was not happy with that I reviewed. She was not happy with how Star Wars had turned out, and even the MCU, which she acknowledged was being called the MCU. So she was unhappy about that. And so I want to highlight her because here again, she's at it again, still trying to push some type of feminist ideas into movies. And here she is again. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but here's this lady again. Grace Randolph claims Bowser represents the toxic manosphere in Super Mario Galaxy movie. So I didn't see this movie, so I can't really comment on it. But she is saying here that Bowser, the bad guy, is part of the toxic manosphere, apparently, according to this article. I can't confirm that because I didn't watch it. So. And here's a video of her to be watched on YouTube. If you guys want to go over there and watch that, we're not going to review it tonight, but I'm just saying she wants a lot of representation. She's very much one of the blue hairs, even though her hair is not blue, but she is pushing for that. And so that's her thought process about that. Let's see. All right, and this is the main event that I wanted to show. So we went from movies, and this is a lady who I saw the other day, so I wanted to do this one. And this is a lady talking about how feminism is ruining literature. The other day we talked about guys who read and all that, who don't read or whatever, and they don't want to read a lot of this modern day feminist garbage and nonsense. That's what they don't want to read. So the name of this is Modern Feminism is Ruining Literature. It's pretty good, I thought. Feminism spread mass neuroticism and pathologize the human condition. Can't say I disagree with that. So we'll play a little bit of this here.
Is modern feminism ruining literature? So just to be clear, I'm not going to be attacking all of feminism here. I'm all for equal rights for women. But the version of feminism that's dominant right now, that's pursuing something different. In a nutshell, I think that today's feminism has basically been about wanting to turn women into men, and that hasn't been good for women. And it's been corrosive for literature. I'm not saying.
So here we are again, another lady who is saying that they're trying to turn men into women. Notice I played a lot of ladies tonight. These ladies are all upset about what's going on here. A lot of ladies because they don't like what's happening to their fields, literature, science, technology, college classes, the relationship between men and women, the expectations. They're all upset about it.
That all literature is ruined or anything like that. There's still good work being written. I'll say more on that later. But this modern version of feminism, it's a certain warped way of seeing the world that's so prevalent and so deeply embedded in our literature that it's easy to miss, at least until you start looking. I didn't just see this in one or two books by women. These were observations I made after reading lots of contemporary fiction written by women. I kept noticing the same nagging patterns, the same sort of irritating undercurrents, this way that women and their situations were being portrayed in fiction.
Irritating undercurrents.
Especially by women writers. So to illustrate what I mean, I'll talk about some specific books and some common themes I've come across again and again in literature by women. For example, I read this book, All Fours, by Miranda July. I'll tell you a little bit about what I saw in this book, and maybe you can guess what it was that annoyed me about it. So this book, there's a period of time when I kept seeing this book being promoted everywhere, just like on all the tables at the bookstores. And I read this book in part because a friend had asked me what I thought of it. Also, I was kind of curious because the author, Miranda July, I liked one of her films many years ago. She's actually more known as a filmmaker, I think. After I read this book, I wonder whether I'd still like that film today. But anyway, this book is essentially about a woman who's going through a midlife crisis, and she's a semi-famous creative who's married and has a kid whose pronouns are they, them. This pretty much describes the author's life, by the way. Anyway, mild spoiler alert. So if you want to read this book, you might want to skip the next few minutes. Basically,
you guys want to read this book here with they, them pronouns? I don't.
Main character ends up cheating on her husband multiple times, actually, and with both men and women. And after she's slept with some woman who, by the way, is this older woman who happened to be the ex-lover of this much younger guy that she was having an affair with. It's fine if you don't follow all that. Anyway, after she slept with this woman, she feels zero guilt about it and thinks, was this the secret to everything? This bodily freedom? It felt intuitive and healthy, as if promiscuity was my birthright as a woman. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. And I've seen this a bunch of times in books, which is this promotion of the idea that being sexually promiscuous is feminist somehow. Now, I don't think that someone's an evil or unsympathetic person, even if they do cheat or are sexually promiscuous. I mean, I don't approve of lying or cheating on a moral level, but you could still feel sympathetic towards someone or a character who has lied or cheated. For example, in my last
All right, there, Coffee. It's gonna be enough of that, brother. So this lady here is talking about. Jeez, this lady here is talking about just the whole idea about running around sexually liberated without feeling bad about cheating. I can't imagine that that's a positive thing there.
video, I mentioned Anna Karenina. In that book, we all know that Anna Karenina has an affair, but you can still feel sympathetic towards her. I mean, at least I did. I've also read books about people who were basically sex obsessed and sleeping with anything that moved, and they were sometimes doing things that were either self-destructive or hurtful to others, but you could still sympathize with them as characters. Maybe.
So her name is Jumi Kim. I'm gonna actually reach out to her. Maybe I'll have her on and talk about what she's seeing. We'll see. Jumi Kim. This is her channel. Modern Feminism is Ruining Literature. I've not checked out any of her other stuff. I just watched this video. I figured that she was kind of, I don't know. I just figured she was kind of snobby. I don't know.
Maybe what made them sympathetic was at least some level of self-awareness of what they were doing, maybe feeling just a tad bit guilty for lying or potentially breaking up their families. But in All Fours, the main character, a woman, feels no guilt whatsoever about cheating, and in fact says that it felt intuitive and healthy. If a man had said something like this, he would be completely unsympathetic in our society. You would think he was just a jackass, or people would call this toxic masculinity. But when a woman does it, it's her birthright. It's her birthright to act like a psychopath. And by the way, it's not as if this book is satirizing this character or something like that. You're actually meant to agree with the character's sentiments. Anyway, later on in this book, the woman's husband suspects that something is going on, and he asks her about a certain night, asks her if she'd seen someone that night, and she admits that yes, she did. Then he asks, is it going to happen again? She says, yes, it's probably going to happen again. You know, at least she was honest here, but I was a bit taken aback by how blunt she was and just remorseless. And it's not as if this married couple didn't love each other. Earlier in the book, before she does any cheating, there's this moment when it's clear that their marriage was based on love and companionship. It's not one of these marriages that were just made from convenience from the start or something. But then later she's just so...
So everything seems to be going pretty well in this book. And for whatever reason, she just kind of gets kind of bored. And this is the type of things that people are reading and pushing out there in the name of modernity and feminism. That's the link there, brother. Chaos. Was it going to happen again? Oh, God.
So nonchalant about lying and cheating. So I just come away feeling like this person is just not a very thoughtful person. But actually, she is thoughtful when it comes to certain other things. Like she's the type of person who's very careful not to commit microaggressions against Black people or trans people or something like that. But when it comes to her husband, whatever. Anyway, after she tells her husband that, yes, it's going to happen again, meaning.
Right. That was also very, very telling to me, that particular point, because in the book, I guess she portrays, I'm very sensitive about everything about, Black Lives Matter and trans people and everything else, which is fine. But then when it comes to my husband, I don't care about his feelings. I can just roll out here and just have random affairs, and he's supposed to take it, and I don't feel bad about it. I mean, this is the type of thing that is being pushed in this literature. Then no wonder people are getting all messed up and dealing with the mental illnesses that we talked about before and all that. So yeah, let's get the likes up, y'all. Hit the like button. Make sure you answer the poll.
Her sleeping with other people. He asks her to keep it to Wednesdays, which she agrees to. It's going to trans people or something like that. But when it comes to her husband, whatever. Anyway, after she tells her husband that, yes, it's going to happen again, meaning her sleeping with other people, he asks her to keep it to Wednesdays, which
he's just a complete beta. He's a complete beta. Crazy. This is the literature.
he agrees to. And then he says, the same rules apply to me, meaning he gets to sleep with other people too. Long story short, he eventually
now they're just gonna have an open marriage. Crazy.
He finds a girlfriend. And because he's the monogamous type, I believe that's how he was described in the novel, what ends up happening is that he basically only sleeps with the girlfriend from now on and not his wife. As the wife is realizing this, she thinks, quote, it wasn't dead between us, but something had to be sacrificed. He needed to feel like a committed, trustworthy boyfriend, and I needed to feel free. So the wife says, no more sex for us, right? Just to confirm. Right, he said, I think that's over. Are you seeing someone? Her response, no, but I will. Now, what struck me here was that essentially we're witnessing the gradual death of their marriage, but it seems like neither the main character or even the author seem to realize it. There doesn't seem to be much awareness of the marriage essentially dying. I can't even.
And you're right about that, high vibe. This will be made into a movie. This will be made into a movie. Keep it to Wednesdays. It's crazy. Crazy.
Even remember it. It seems like neither the main character or even the author seem to realize it. There doesn't seem to be much awareness of the marriage essentially dying. I can't even remember if they eventually separate or not, because the whole thing was just like a non-event, the ending of their marriage. I mean, and okay, so this wasn't the main focus of the book, their marriage, because the main focus was on how this woman was going through a midlife crisis. So fine, that's what the writer chose to focus on with the story. But in my opinion, that just wasn't even interesting enough in the book, at least how she handled it, because it just basically ends, again, spoiler alert, the book ends with zero consequences for her. It ends with her feeling more free. I think the ending was terrible and hokey. What I really wanted to see was a bit more reflection about the consequences of all the things she did during her midlife crisis, but no, I guess she just got lucky. There weren't really any.
And again, this is a lady going, obviously it's fiction, but the lady's going through midlife crisis, and this is how she acts. So this is, the teenagers trying to figure themselves out. This is a woman in a marriage, no consequences. It's all good. and Black Lives Matter, and support the immigrants and every other social issue out there. But my husband, his needs, and meanwhile he wants to be in a monogamous relationship. Crazy.
Except with her feeling better and their marriage dying a gradual death, but that's not a big deal, and their kid will be fine with it too, I'm sure. And that brings me to a related thing
the kid will be fine with that too, just blowing up the whole family,
that I constantly notice in literature nowadays, which is this downplaying of the importance of marriage or even being downright hostile to it. I'll give you another example from a different book. By the way, I'm not seeking books like this out. They just come by me. I just come across them again and again. You're guaranteed to come across these things if you read contemporary women's literature. So this book, Scaffolding, again, this was another book that I saw being prominently displayed in the bookstores, and it was on lots of lists for best books of the year, things like that. So this novel takes place in Paris. I'm kind of a sucker for.
Guys, catch that. This is a book that's being pushed in the bookstore, probably in the running for book of the year or whatever she said. So this is on full display, right? So the editors and the publishing company and all that are pushing this. Surprised she didn't divorce and take everything. Nonfiction is a man thing. Women are allergic to nonfiction. Too real. Yeah, that's all I read. That's all, and I certainly wouldn't read this. I do like to read some sci-fi every now and then. I do like to read some sci-fi, some space exploration sci-fi. Whenever I get a chance, I do like to read that.
Books that take place in Paris. Anyway, in this book, one of the main characters, she cheats on her husband. Actually, multiple different women cheat on their partners in this book. One of these women, this is the thought that she has. I am sleeping with a man who is not my husband, and I refuse to feel shamed for it. That's what we've been fighting for. Love and sex and bodies without shame. And that's what I'm laying claim to. Oof. Again, because women have historically been oppressed, they get to act like selfish degenerates and screw over their male partners. Got it? It gets even worse. So this woman who was cheating on her husband, her name is Florence. She wants a baby, but her husband is more hesitant. So she decides unilaterally to take action. She stops taking the pill without talking to her husband about it while she's having an affair. So the husband thinks, my wife is having sex with 2 different men and she chooses this moment to get pregnant. Isn't that a decision?
And he knows this? These guys are all betas. It's crazy.
We should make together, he asks. It's my body, she says, and I could do what I like with it. The husband says, all right, but it's our life. And if you decide to have a baby with your body, it affects me as well, doesn't it? She says, well, I'm giving you fair warning. You can take whatever steps you like to ensure I don't get pregnant, but I am ready to be a mother, whether or not you are there to do it with me. By the way, the husband's not a bad guy. He's not abusive towards her or anything like that. Maybe he's a little clueless about some things, but not a bad guy. Now, if a man had acted like how Florence was acting here, you'd say that he was a total asshole. Also, these characters, again, they're not being satirized. Like when you read these books, it's not that you're supposed to think, wow, these women are totally toxic and out of control. No, it's more like the authors of these books are too busy being feminist or fighting the patriarchy to notice that these women are just awful people. In that same book, one of the characters, I forget which one, this is what she says about marriage. I just don't think it's necessary to get married. It's a form of discipline developed to keep society moving along like a big normative machine. You know, you could just see marriage as being a promise to another person that you love. That's it. People get so hung up about it being some kind of backwards tradition or something that society imposes on you. And I get that in the past, women, also a lot of men, didn't have a whole lot of choice in who they married or whether they got married at all. I get that. But in this day and age, in the Western world, women have a choice. And fundamentally, what marriage is just something you choose to do with someone else. And sometimes people formalize it by deciding to have what we call a wedding, where you get everyone you know together so that they witness you making this promise to someone. I think it's a very moving thing. I love weddings in an era when we don't do these kinds of things very much. Like there's so much exaggerated sentimentality in so many things these days, like in movies and books and in pop songs, but actually very little earnestness when it comes down to it. This is one area where if everybody who made that one promise to someone else, if they actually really tried to keep that promise, the world would be a much better place, a lot better than if, for example, the government spent more on welfare or something. Anyway, there's a large segment of the population that thinks that being anti-marriage is progressive or even radical somehow. But I find this to be so boring to be anti-marriage this way. Now, if you want to argue that marriage can be tough or that there are some trade-offs associated with it, okay, I can get that. Or if you want to argue
coffee and weed. I by Leslie Jones, or I talked about that a little bit earlier today. I didn't do a whole show about it. It's, you know, we're all in agreement, or at least I think we're all in agreement here in this chat here, that she really wants marriage. And I did play a video responding to that earlier, so make sure you hit the replay, gang, everybody. But she can't find anyone who wants to marry her. She went through a whole career, never found anyone. Obviously her masculinity has been challenging to find a successful mate. I didn't do a whole show about it. I appreciate that. Everybody hit the like button. And again, I showed a video of a lady saying exactly what we're saying. So I'm in agreement with that. It's been covered so many times. I'm not going to say anything new or different to that. I definitely believe she wants to get married. If somebody came along to her and said, hey, this is what I want. I want you and be my wife. So I definitely think she would go for it. And I think earlier today, we covered that earlier today. BMI 3000, Dr. Neil, Dr. Thunder, myself, and Dr. Anwar. I think we talked about that a little bit earlier today. Taraji P. Henson, Chelsea Handler, and what's her name there? And Leslie Jones. And Taraji still is good. She is. That's a bad woman, but the other one's there. Yeah. So okay. Appreciate you watching, man. I appreciate that. listening from the bushes. What's up? Where's the bushes at? This lady has a science background. Her orientation is different. The one speaking right now, this one, did you look her up? She might. You know what? I think at the end she does say that. Now that you mention it, I think I watched this all the way through. I think at the end she does say that. I'm going to reach out to her and just try to figure this out. Yeah, poor Leslie. Yeah, winter is definitely here. Taraji has a child. Yeah, so she's not complaining as much, but I'm sure she wants a man. I'm sure she wants a man. So, but unfortunately, success evades a lot of ladies like that. So she's gonna have to, probably date down. So, or come to Waterbury, Connecticut.
That it should have nothing to do with the government. I can certainly get behind that. But being against marriage just as a choice, to say that that's feminist somehow, it's just silly. In my last video, I also talked a bit about Sally Rooney's books. In case you don't know, Sally Rooney is one of the most successful literary writers alive today. In her book, Conversations with Friends, one of the characters says that monogamy was there to, quote, serve patrilineal societies by allowing them to pass property to their genetic offspring. I find it so interesting.
I didn't know. I didn't know that bushes were caves was called a bathtub. I didn't know that. Okay, all right. Yeah, she's a science person whose hobby is fiction. Yeah, I might actually reach out to her because I'd be interested to know her thoughts about exploring this a little bit more and maybe what she's experiencing in the science world. So, her channel is about as large as mine, so she might not be too stuck up to come on and talk about it. So, let's see here. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Rewind this a little bit.
Interesting. Alive today. In her book, Conversations with Friends, one of the characters says that monogamy was there to, quote, serve patrilineal societies by allowing them to pass property to their genetic offspring. I find it so interesting that people just ignore biology these days. Like, these people just want to claim that our tendencies or feelings of wanting monogamy or exclusivity with sexual partners are just there to serve patrilineal societies or are purely societal or cultural in nature. But it's clearly biological to a large extent. It's a part of the physiological response to falling in love with someone, wanting for them to only want you and not sleep around. I'm not even saying we were all meant to be 100% monogamous or any sweeping claims like that, because there are also strong incentives to cheat from an evolutionary standpoint. But I just mean this feeling of wanting exclusivity, it's a normal physiological response you feel to someone you're in love with. You can complain that it's inconvenient, but it's a real physical response. And there's an evolutionary reason behind it too. It's there, at least in part, because you needed the lovers to stick together long enough to take care of the baby, because human babies are so expensive in that they take a long time to mature. And they are much more likely to thrive when it's not just one parent taking care of the baby. It's highly advantageous to have both parents around. It's especially stupid to me when feminists say that monogamy is just there to serve the patriarchy. This is just a denial of biology, because you can argue that females actually had more to lose in situations that weren't monogamous, at least for most of our evolutionary history. I mean, a woman can get herself in quite the pickle if a man impregnates her and takes off, leaving the burden on her to raise the child alone. Anyway, in all the books I just mentioned, there are multiple parts where the characters are spouting off cliches about how oppressive the patriarchy is. In Sally Rooney's book, there are characters that say that they find masculinity personally oppressive, or F the patriarchy, things like that. In Scaffolding, one of the characters, she's this feminist woman who goes around pasting feminist signs all over the city. How heroic. Here's what some of the signs say. Sexism is everywhere. So are we. Is the country of the rights of men afraid of women's rights? Our skirts are short, not our ideas. Queer revolution. Not sure what that has to do with feminism. The revolution will be feminist. Well done. You have a penis. We are all heroines. No, we're not. We're not all heroines. You don't get to be a heroine just for being a woman. That's just stupid. That's pretty insulting to women who actually do heroic things. So here's another book that took place in Paris. I'm mostly here to enjoy myself. Like I said, I'm a sucker for books that take place in Paris. This book was also all over the place on the bookstore tables and on all.
I've been to Paris. I was not impressed. I was not impressed. The Louvre was nice. Even where the Eiffel Tower was, I'm like, what's going on here? So, but I am not impressed.
Kinds of list for top best books. In full disclosure, I skimmed a lot of this book. It just didn't hold my interest enough to read it that carefully. By the way, I believe this book is actually a memoir, so I guess most of what happens in it is an account of what the author went through. Anyway, it's about a woman who sublets an apartment in Paris for a while, and it's about her going out with friends and handsome men and walking around Paris and eating great food. And interestingly, it takes place during the lockdowns. That was one of the reasons I was curious about this book. And before I get into how this book relates to modern feminism, I need to talk about that part of the book a bit. When she discusses the lockdowns, she writes, during lockdown.
Right? It's a dump. Paris is a dump. Paris is a dump. I would never go back. I mean, it's good to go for one time. I'm not going to discourage anybody from going for one time, but see it for yourself. But I did enjoy the Louvre. I did enjoy there. Even that block was nice. Was a nicer block. We went and ate across the street, but just driving around Paris, I'm like, it's like driving around New York City or Chicago. What is this? I was expecting so much more. Yeah, it's French speaking NYC. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. Well, I mean, I'm not going to discourage you from not going. Go, definitely go see it. You know, had a good time. Yeah, I went to there too. You can still access it, so the poll is still open. Yeah, too many people. Feminists love Paris. Yeah. I thought I took that down. The poll with the white text in. But anyway, okay.
I need to talk about that part of the book a bit. When she discusses the lockdowns, she writes, during lockdown, I could have written 10 essays about the theft that has been committed on my time and mind by the belief I need to look better, younger, thinner. So as I was reading the sentence, when she started to say the part about a theft having been committed, I thought she was about to say that the theft was the lockdowns themselves. But no, she's talking about the belief or expectations to look younger or better. I just found that to be incredible. How
she was robbed of being feeling older and more weight. So she felt robbed of her time because she had to work out and put on makeup and whatever else it takes to look good. Crazy.
She had nothing to say about how governments and institutions stole our time by physically limiting our freedoms. Like, I know of someone whose mother was dying of cancer in a hospital and they couldn't visit her. Okay. Like, it wasn't just time that was stolen from us, but precious things like that, like being with someone before they died. Anyway, I don't mean to get sidetracked, but this is what was imposed.
They're all racist. And I'm not saying that with any degree of being glad. I walked around Paris, stared at a little bit, not too much. Went to Milan, Italy. It was okay. Had some good food there, some good pizza. Was not the best pizza I ever had. Definitely had better here in the States, but whatever. Whatever. But yeah.
During lockdowns. But the thing that this writer focuses on as having committed theft is this kind of expectation that makes her believe that she needs to be better, younger, thinner. This was the type of thing that I was getting at a bit in my last video. I was complaining about contemporary novels. I said that so many of our writers are in such ideological bubbles that they will focus on certain topics and fail to see even more important ones. This is worse than just finding some annoying woke elements in a book. Like I said in my previous video, it's not even the annoying wokeness that bothers me so much about a lot of contemporary novels these days, because I see them and I can just roll my eyes and move on. But the issue is that this is the symptom of a much bigger problem, which is that our writers are in ideological bubbles, so they can't see beyond a certain worldview. And this is the
and that's exactly what I played in this video here by now her name's escaping me. What the heck is her name? Whatever her name is. Her name is escaping me. But this is exactly what she said. You know, you get in these ideological bubbles, and when she was talking about Star Wars, she's talking about Star Wars and Marvel movies, you end up changing the characters so much and the plots in the movies and the heroes that you lose your whole audience. And this, I think that this lady is kind of saying the same thing. Like, you know, she wants to read these types of stuff, but it's turning them off. You're talking about marriage. You got women sleeping around. Husbands are complete betas. You start to lose your whole audience because you want to push this idea and being in this ideological bubble. And that is unfortunate. You can write a fiction book. Okay, maybe she has one affair, but the guy, maybe in that affair, she ends up realizing she doesn't leave her husband. She doesn't want to be with her husband and goes off and lives a nice life with somebody else. But that whole thing is, I'm going to hurt my husband's heart and don't care and be brutal about it. It just turned everybody off.
Kind of thing that just ruins novels from the start, when the writer just can't even see well. They really don't even have it in them to write an interesting book in the first place. Doesn't matter how pretty or whatever their writing is. Yeah, I just can't believe how people will keep aping the same things over and over again. Things about how society imposes certain expectations of women, and that's the thing that has stolen your time and mind, not the government literally imposing curfews on people. By the way, in Paris, they had imposed curfews on people. I hadn't known this until I read this book. Pretty insane stuff. Anyway, getting back to the book. The description of the book says that it's a decadent, joyful, unexpected journey into one woman's pursuit of radical enjoyment. It also says the pursuit of enjoyment is a political act, both a right and a responsibility. This is just so garbled that I don't even know where to begin. But it gives you a window into how so many people think nowadays. I discussed this in one of my previous videos where I talk about the book The Culture of Narcissism by Christopher Lasch. That book discusses this idea that we're living under what he calls the therapeutic sensibility, these kinds of ideas that people just readily accept. It's just like the default assumption that the pursuit of enjoyment is the highest thing that we can strive for. Anyway,
And that's what the other video I played previously to this was talking about a little bit there, right? This whole idea of, if it feels good, just go ahead and do it. It's therapeutic. You have the right to do it. And next thing you know, it's causing all these other mental issues. This lady's a classical liberal, old school. They're called conservatives today. It's a whole play going on. Pushing an agenda through literature is actually it's actually trash writing. Yeah, hedonism. Right.
Back to the theme of feminism in literature, or rather a specific type of feminism. These days, I also keep picking up on all these women who keep telling others and themselves that they're powerful or confident. Am I the only one who finds this really annoying at this point? When someone tells me that they're powerful or confident, I actually tend to think the opposite about them. I think that they're insecure, that they have some hang-ups about this. So here are some excerpts from this book related to this. Quote, I have become the very thing we are taught to fear, a woman unafraid of her own desires, freed from the expectation of asking permission to satisfy them even briefly. There is not a shred of shame. 5 years before I can clearly see myself for what I am, powerful and alive and beautiful. I am a confident older woman. Again, if you have to keep saying these things, I kind of don't believe you. A confident person doesn't have to keep saying that they're confident. I think it's very telling that this is such an obsession with women these days. Am I the only one noticing this? Like women these days seem to have a hang up about being confident or independent and strong. And this is why I say that modern feminism, the kind of feminism that's most prevalent these days, it seems like it's about trying to turn women into men. That might make it seem like I'm saying confidence or independence or strength are male traits. That's not what I'm saying. So here's what
I'm glad so many ladies are saying this. They're trying to turn women into men.
I'm trying to say. I'm saying that women seem to think that loudly declaring that they're confident or being all blustery or just acting like they don't give a fuck what you think, they think these things are confidence or independence or strength. They're not. That's what I'm saying. And that applies for both men and women, actually. You can just be confident and independent and strong without calling attention to it. That's it. Speaking of turning women into men, in this book, this woman, she sleeps around quite a bit. This book was not smutty or anything, but she does hook up with a lot of guys. Now, this could be potentially entertaining and interesting, whether you're down with her lifestyle or not. But what I didn't like about her descriptions of her escapades is that it didn't feel real to me, because it kind of felt like she didn't feel real to me based on what I know about most women. Most women, like I said, are not psychologically built to want lots of casual sex with lots of different men that they hardly know. They usually end up catching feelings and settling on one or maybe two men. I mean, a lot of men too, actually, but women even more so, I think. And again, there are evolutionary reasons for this, because a woman doesn't need to be promiscuous to reproduce. Women were the ones who were, at least evolutionarily, choosier when it came to sexual partners because the stakes were higher for them. Because it's a seriously life-changing event if she chooses wrongly and sleeps with a man that knocks her up and then abandons her. These are just facts. So women aren't really wired to be satisfied with lots of casual sex with men they barely know. But the woman in this book, it kind of seemed like she was painting an overly rosy picture of this lifestyle. She was just enjoying herself. And I just didn't believe her. There was like one moment where she felt like she was getting a bit too attached to this one guy, but it wasn't even that big of a deal. And I just did not find that believable. I'm not necessarily saying that the author of this memoir was lying, at least intentionally. In fact, I think it's possible that the author was actually not being honest with herself. I think a lot of women aren't honest with themselves about this, actually. They get into casual situations with men and they think they're fine with it, but they're not really. And I think that's because this is maybe seen as a weakness. Women these days see this as a weakness because they think they should be like men. I saw this a bit from another angle, actually, but this was in a book that was written by a woman, but told from a man's point of view. The book is Fleischman is in Trouble. By the way, full disclosure, I didn't read this whole book. I just read the beginning of this book, and that's the part I'm going to talk about here. Anyway, this book was longlisted for the National Book Award. And like I said, it's written from the point of view of a man, but the author is a woman. So we're reading this from the perspective of a
long list for the National Book Award. This is crap.
40, like I said, it's written from the point of view of a man, but the author is a woman. So we're reading this from the perspective of a 41-year-old man, and he's newly single and suddenly realizing that there are all these eligible women who want him. So he's happy about that. This is how it starts. And you tell me if you pick up on something interesting here. Toby Fleischman awoke one morning inside the city he'd lived in all his adult life, and which was suddenly somehow now crawling with women who wanted him. Not just any women, but women who were self-actualized and independent and knew what they wanted. Women who weren't needy or insecure or self-doubting, like the long ago prospects of his long-gone youth. So what struck me about this first paragraph is that it read to me like it was written by a modern woman. I mean, look at this. There are 5 different ways of basically saying that the women were some version of independent, self-actualized, independent, who weren't needy or insecure or self-doubting. 5 different ways of basically saying independent or confident. Would a newly single man care so much about the fact that the women he was encountering were so independent that he finds 5 different ways to say this? I mean, look, I'm not.
Nope. Newly single man, don't care about any of that.
A guy, but I would think that the main things a man would bring up would be that these women were attractive or young or fun. When I read this passage, I felt like it just told you so much about our values and assumptions today. They're so baked in that you could easily not notice it. Now, like I said, I didn't get.
I think a lot do, High Vibe. What woman wants to trade roles with a man who wants that pressure? LOL, it's frustrating to hear feminists speak on behalf of women and then not allow space for alternative viewpoints from women. I think a lot of them are dealing with penis envy. They want to move like men. They don't want to be hampered down by monthly cycles. They want to be able to go out. They want to be strong as men. They want to be able to fight. I think they want it all. I think they want all that. I really do.
Very far in this book. I don't know if it's any good, but I already don't like how it starts. Also, NPR called it a fictional indictment of interpersonal and systemic sexism. So yeah, I'm probably going to skip this one. Now, I can understand that once women got liberation, you'd have this explosion of literature from women who would write about the patriarchy and all that. And we got a whole bunch of that in the early 20th century, some of which was good. But maybe it's time for the women writers to realize that things are legitimately different now. Like maybe patriarchy is really not the main thing plaguing women today. Instead, we get entire subgenres of books that are what's called female rage books. Basically, these are books about the anger of women. She's angry at the world or the patriarchy. So many women are acting like women only got liberated yesterday, or actually worse than that women aren't liberated and they're still massively oppressed, and hence it's still considered rebellious or revolutionary to write up the patriarchy. When corporations are the ones spouting the feminist slogans and using it to sell products, maybe it's time to consider that it's no longer that revolutionary. Also, some industries have become totally dominated by women, like publishing. Most of the people deciding what gets published are women. Also,
and so this is another big problem where women are becoming publishers, and therefore, if a man submits some type of manuscript, they don't want to publish it, right? So when they talk about, I forget the name of the video they did talking about this. Oh, I was reacting to the guy who was saying that women are beating men in reading and all this kind of stuff, right? They don't want to read this type of trash. Men don't want to read this type of trash. Instead, they would read some nonfiction, some techie stuff, or whatever, as Dr. Neal said. So this is what. Or they're going to listen to podcasts, as many of us are doing, right? Particularly about sports and other things. So they're abandoning the reading because it's overly feminized, and they're embracing other forms of entertainment.
Most of the people in the MFA programs, I hear. So these are the programs for studying to become writers. And in general, in all different kinds of industries, there's actually been campaigns to try to hire more women to the point where men are being actively discriminated against. I'm talking about DEI initiatives and things like that. So I've heard it's actually harder for men to get published these days, especially straight white men. Several years ago, the writer Joyce Carol Oates tweeted this. A friend who is a literary agent told me that he cannot even get editors to read first novels by young white male writers, no matter how good. They are just not interested. Maybe this is why men aren't reading as much fiction these days. By the way, I'll probably make a video related to this, maybe, about how men are apparently not as into fiction these days. Anyway, I just think people should be published based on merit. Now, all this is not to say that there aren't certain types of problems that women experience more than men, or that there aren't important women's stories to be told that are about the unique plight of women. Like, for example, there's this sort of subgenre of fiction that's basically stories about sexual assault, stories about women being assaulted by men. I think it's good that there are novels about that. And I think it's good that we have a lot of women writers. I mean, I don't want to actively discriminate against men just to get more women published, but I'm glad that there are a lot of women writers. In fact, something I've always thought was sad was that we didn't have more stories by women from the past. Most of the literature I read is a bit older, not from this century, a lot from the 19th century, sometimes older. And I would have loved it if we'd had more literature from women in the past. I wish we'd had more Jane Austens, or just more women.
All right, that's enough of that. I am going to reach out to her, see if she'll come on and talk about this, because I think she's got a lot to say. Dr. Neal, you want to come up for a minute, man? I know we talked earlier. You want to come up for a minute? that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about for tonight. I think that yeah, this is sad. So I think that this is an issue concerning, it's driving a lot of different media. I talked about a show called what's this show called? The Diplomat on Netflix. I really, really enjoy. I think it's a great, great show. I think it's a great show, The Diplomat. And on that show, it's about a female or a lady, a diplomat. She becomes the that's for Dr. Neil there. She becomes the what is that? The ambassador to England. There's a whole thing that goes on, ambassador to England. And her husband was formerly an ambassador to somewhere else. And then next thing you know, he is referring, because now he is in kind of the second seat in a marriage, because he was the ambassador. He's no longer the ambassador. So now, because he's the ambassador, and now he's referring to himself as the wife. This brother is now referring to himself as the wife. I mean, it was just absolute madness. And while I enjoy the show, everything that's going on, I just can't get past this idea of calling himself the wife. And it's not like they just wrote it one time. This is a major theme that has been more than one episode. Oh, don't talk to me. I'm the wife. Talk to her. Why do you got to call yourself the wife? What say you, Dr. Neil? What's up, brother?
Hey, Dr. L, man, how are you?
I'm good, brother. I'm good, man. Good.
Man, great show, man. Great show, man. Good content. Yes. This whole feminist project is crashing before our eyes, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this is a young woman, younger generation, and they've inherited this stuff, and it's not working for them, and it's so bad that they're having to deal with their own situation in the world, the realities of their situation versus what they're getting in terms of propaganda and everything like that, and so that's kind of what I hear with this lady right here, man, because it's not real. It's not the real world, and there are consequences, when she's talking about basically the female characters are just, they're defective men or whatever, and they're, written in ways that are supposed to make you admire them and what have you. Now she didn't go into it, and I don't read a lot. I don't read any of that stuff because it's a turn off, man. Everything that she talks about, let me tell you, man. Well, you're aware of this, man, but that entire worldview that she just laid out is, what I deal with and what others, if you're in the academy, you're a teacher and you're dealing with academia, it's the same thing, and it is a completely detached worldview. It is detached from reality. That's why I said earlier, man, it's utopian, it's victim oriented, and all of that. These writers, it's 2026. And when you hear these people talk, you would think that, we're living in the 1950s. I mean, that's just the reality. You know what I mean? And The Handmaid's Tale and all that kind of stuff. And oh God, it goes on and on. And yes, and it destroyed entertainment. It's very hard, man. Sometimes I have a number of streaming services that I subscribe to, and I don't watch a whole lot of it, But I will say that sometimes I look at the offerings and stuff like that, and I'm like, why am I still subscribed? You know, why am I paying these people $12 and $13 a month? You know, and all you have to do is look at the trailers,
Right.
and it's like, okay, this is so predictable, you know, and yeah, man. So it's crazy, and you know, and this lady, she's interesting, and I've seen some of her videos. Yeah, she has a science background. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's in biology or what have you, and so. So she strikes me, you know, she's an Asian lady. I don't know if she seems to be Chinese. I don't know. But you know, she's from some part of the Asian world, and she kind of seems like one of these, you know, model minorities, who comes from a certain family. You know, you have folks, they insist, like with the Asians and either, those folks in those backgrounds, when they go to college, you know, their parents are like, no, you're not gonna study literature. You're not going to get a degree in art. You're going to get a degree in something that's going to put you in a solid economic position, you know? And so what happens is that, you know, you can have a Chinese student, male or female, but since we're talking about a female, the females, you know, they do math. You know, they do chemistry, biology, and what have you. You can't go to literature departments and find a lot of them there. Or history, or, you know, kind of the humanities writ large, you know. And but they have, you know, they have interest in art, and they have interest in writing, and you know, they have a creative side to them, what have you, and they have to explore that creative side, you know, outside of their credentialing, you know, or professions and stuff like that, you know. You see the same thing with a lot of Africans, and just kind of in South Asians and everything like that, you know. And you know, there are obviously, you know, nuances to this, you know. But the non-white population, and I'm looking at this is kind of how I'm kind of giving a surface reading of this person. Yeah, so, you know, her side thing is literature, and it might be her true passion, you know.
That's what it
And
sounds like,
yeah,
right? It sounds like this
yeah,
is her true passion. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. It sounds like her true passion, and you know, she did science for economic reasons, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So yeah.
I want to ask you, this comes from Free Agent. Does the patriarchy allow this? Why? What do you think we should do about it? Or how do you think we should handle this? Should men do anything? What are your thoughts about what's going on, whether it's in academia, the sciences that we talked about, the colleges,
Yeah.
you know, how do we handle it? And now it's, you know, it's in our movies. Yeah, as you mentioned, you know, we gotta wonder if we should continue to pay $12, $13, $14 a month to get this type
Yeah.
of thing. What are your thoughts about that moving forward?
Yeah, I think, you know, I mean, the correction is going on right now. You know, yeah, we, you know, as a society, and it's just true just across the Western world. But we're talking about America. I mean, the society has, it has overcorrected, you know, in terms of the status of women, you know, and they have rights, they have constitutional rights. They have legal protection under the law. They have access to education. I mean, my God, they're dominating education. You understand? And, you know, they get, you know, preferences in terms of work and the like, and they still preferred in terms of the safety net. You know what I mean? I mean, the United States is not, you know, the Arab world. You know what I mean? It's not Saudi Arabia. It's not Somalia. Hell, it's not Nigeria, anything like that. You know what I mean? They want us to believe. They want us to believe that it is. You know what I'm saying? But no, the correction that's going on right now. We see it politically, the shifts and all that, because it's not sustainable. This stuff is not sustainable, and and what we're seeing now in terms of, I would just say economically, the effort from the top down, government and all that kind of stuff, trying to to restructure the economy. So that's one effort, and a lot of people, if you're on the Democratic side or whatever, and you're hardcore and you're not thinking seriously, you see this as an attack, as an assault. But it's a part of a correction, and when you talk about infrastructure and everything like that, and I'm seeing more reports now about the military and the draft and all this stuff that has to do with security, national security and international and all that kind of stuff. So at an administrative level, yeah, it's the right. The right is putting in corrections that the left and the liberals refuse to do and ignored. So they're aware of it. The people on the left, those who have certain understandings, they've known for quite some time that a lot of this stuff is unsustainable. They just didn't have the backbone to stand up and say, listen, we have to go in a different direction. You know what I mean? Now the other part of it, so the other part of it is then culturally, the cultural thing is happening, and you see this, what we're doing. I mean, what we're doing is about the correction, talking about the limitations of this stuff, talking about, you have men's voices and everything like that, and that's a ground, that's the effort that's coming from the ground. You know what I mean? And what it does is it begins at the level of culture, and then it works its way up into law, into policy, and everything like that. So the correction is going on now. It's uneasy, but it is taking place. And I think what has to happen is, it has to be sustained. You can't just sit back and think that you don't have to work at it for a long period of time. Because it took us 60 some odd years to get here. You know what I mean? And it's going to take a long time to work a lot of this stuff out. A lot of us I'm not going to be here. You're not going to be here. If it's ever balanced again, you know what I mean? So yeah, man. So all of us are part of the correction at one level or another. It's going to be interesting to see what the younger generation does. And so she's young. So you have women who are doing it, who are talking and stuff like that. And women need to be a part of it. My concern is that, they have an uphill battle, and they, you don't have enough of them out there doing it. Because what I've always been convinced that, women would be more effective in correcting women, and in restructuring things. Yeah, it's kind of like with the black society. You know what I mean? Black men are not going to be the ones to alter the mentality of women. It's going to be other women, and it's going to be broader changes in the society, and everything. You know what I mean? And so you have that, and then apart from that, you have the stuff that men must continue to do. And that is to say, we're not playing this game.
Right.
Right. We're not supporting it. Like I said, I've sat back at a practical level and I was like, man, I should just get rid of these subscriptions. And yeah.
Yeah.
What happens is if you have men who unplug, and this is the big thing. When they unplug and they stop supporting this stuff financially, it'll happen. Hollywood is an interesting thing, man, because Hollywood has demonstrated, at least in recent years, that their model, it just doesn't, it doesn't, bear any fruit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean,
Right.
What you have with Hollywood is kind of like what you have with the WNBA, right? And that you have these rich people who will throw millions and billions of dollars at projects that have these themes that flounder, that don't go anywhere, that don't make any money or whatever. You know what I mean? I mean, you mentioned the lady who talked about the Star Wars franchise. And you have to look at the numbers and see what kind of profits they're making, and if they continue to lose and lose and lose. Oh yeah, I remember, man. I remember it was Disney. And this was before the election. This was like under Biden. I remember when Disney, man, they laid off a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
And they got rid of a number of executives. There was some Black executives, female executives that they got rid of, and everything, because they were losing money.
Yeah.
And nobody wanted to watch that stuff.
Right.
And the stuff is unbelievable. And I've had this conversation with Dr. T.S. Johnson. I'm like, the characters that you see, you just can't believe them. These so-called, women heroes, female heroes, or heroines, whatever you want to call them. Beating up men and jumping off buildings and jumping out of cars, and you know what I mean, and being like Schwarzenegger Arnold Schwarzenegger in a dress, or just Arnold Schwarzenegger as a female or whatever,
Right.
No one believes it, man. You know what I mean? a woman who's a Navy SEAL, who believes that? You know what I'm saying? A woman who's a part of Delta Force. You know what I mean? I mean, going on the missions and taking out terrorists and all that kind of stuff. There's some stuff that is written. There's some films where some of the stuff seems kind of realistic. Especially when they get hurt like men. When they take the same type of bullets that men take and what have you. But I think eventually it once the money really gets low, and men turn away, yeah, man, it just shifts culturally. So it's happening now, man. It's happening before our eyes, and the one thing that would stop it, and I don't see it stopping, but I would say if it were to be halted in any way, is if the liberal political elite were able to recapture the institutions. the way they had before, and really double down. But I don't see it happening. I mean, and I've said this in other places. I even talking to you, you would have to have another Bill Clinton or another Barack Obama, another Biden or what have you, people like that. But I don't see that happening, I don't even see it with a Gavin Newsom, you know what I mean? But that would be the only other way for them to stop the correction that's going on, right now, is to get some of those old figures or types like that back into power and have them, government power, corporate power, so on and so forth. Yeah.
Brother, I appreciate you coming up, man. I'm gonna call it for tonight, man.
man.
I appreciate that, man. Appreciate your take on this situation here. So
yeah, man. And I, I appreciate you, man. Shout out, to the work that you're doing, and it's a good thing, man. I'm happy about. I'm not a gloom and doom person, and I'm realistic now. I'm realistic and sober. But not gloom and doom. But I'll say this, going back to this lady here, man. She really laid it out, man.
She did.
In terms of in terms of fiction, all you have to do is walk into a commercial bookstore. If you walk into a commercial bookstore and you go to the fiction section, you go to the sections where they have all the new books out. The bulk of the authors tend to be women. You look at the covers, you look at the themes, and it's funny because I did a video some years ago along this line. I went to a Barnes and Noble, and I was in Greensboro, North Carolina, and it was probably during Black History Month. And I was just blown away by and this is during the Black Lives Matter period, and all these fiction books by Black women, and especially young Black women, and books dealing with Black girls. It was so interesting. A lot of the books, they had like these. They've got this kind of hood genre. So you have this genre of literature that's catered to young Black women, where you have these characters who, they're, just the Black girl against the world. You know what I mean? And, she growing up and she's got to deal with all these forces in her environment and everything like that. And, she's got to rise up, and I did a video on that. It's still up in my catalog. And I said, this is just propaganda. This is just complete propaganda. And it's a money grab. It's a money grab. Because as I said in the chat, fiction has been a primary tool for the propagation of feminist ideas. We are in a situation that we are as Black Americans, intellectually, because of authors like Alice Walker, and also Terry McMillan and Toni Morrison and a whole host of people, and it's had an effect like on the Black intellectual world that is, in my estimation, regressive. You know what I mean? Because what it has done is that you have, I'm in a world where you have Black women with PhDs in the humanities, and even some of the social sciences, and their worldview is shaped by this fictive stuff. You know what I mean? And they don't do. The problem that we have is that, and this is why people like Tia Son Johnston, myself, and Tommy Curry, we do the Black Male Studies thing, because their approach to Black society is not from the standpoint of nonfiction. It's not from the standpoint of historical research, real sociological study, and everything, dealing with economics and data, statistics, and all that kind of stuff. Is based on imaginative stuff, and you read
how we want the world to be.
How you want the world. Yeah, you read. I mean, Bell Hooks. She was a prolific author, and most of her books are nonfiction, but her books were not driven by a lot of stuff that was really happening on the ground, reality, you know what I mean? And I criticize her stuff for that, you know what I mean? And it's, and we get our fiction, Black people get our fiction from oral culture. We get it from anecdotes and what mama said and stuff like that. And, stories that have been passed down. And then the women, they get inspiration from gossip, And so, our gossip culture is so big, it's not a surprise how big it is, how popular it is with women, and gossip culture is it's a fictive world. You understand? And, you have a lot of folks who would take, their cues about the world, faster from, gossip and all that kind of stuff than they would from actual facts, and it's a real problem that has real world consequences. Yeah, because it affects how you move in the world, and then at the larger level, and here's the structural issue: is that when you have people who value that stuff so deeply, who are in positions of power, who are in positions to make laws, who are in positions to make economic decisions, okay? That fictive worldview impacts things. You understand? And you don't want people making laws who are overly influenced by that imaginative world. In other words,
right.
In other words, you don't want, I'm put it like this, bro. You don't want people making laws who think that the handmaiden's tale is a real thing. You understand? Seriously. You don't want people governing you and making major decisions who think, and there are people seemingly, and I'm not saying these people don't have intelligence or anything like that, but there are people at the highest heights of society. They take that stuff seriously. You understand? And it's like, you don't want to go in the courtroom and deal with prosecutors and judges and stuff like that who believe that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And because it affects due process. You understand? And
Helen Smith, is it Smith? Helen Andrews, Corey Clark, and there's another academic who also said the same thing you're saying. It affects laws and politics when they take these types of thought processes into these spheres.
Yeah,
and it can't separate reality from fiction. Yeah.
You have and that's a real thing. And people like Andrews, have gotten pushed back because they say, "Oh, you're pushing stereotypes about women and stuff like that," and saying that women lack reason and everything like that. And then I would say, no, we're dealing with basic differences between men and women in terms of how we are oriented and how we look at the world. And the thing is that there is a difference in terms of what is prioritized, and then and other thing is that our institutions, though flawed as they are, they were set up according to a certain type of logic. And
Right.
I mean, the Constitution. Here's the thing, there's just this thing called the Constitution is a product of what we call the Enlightenment. You know what I mean? And the Enlightenment was about the primacy of reason.
Right.
The people coming out of the European Enlightenment, they were trying to create a society that was not governed by passions and emotion. You understand? And so that's how, laws were shaped in these Western societies. And yeah, we can call these people, were they racist? Yes, of course they were racist. They're racist. Racism was irrational, all that kind of stuff. But the principles, so it's kind of like, Thomas Jefferson and slavery. So Thomas Jefferson knew slavery was wrong, right?
Right.
Although he practiced it. He practiced slavery, but he had rational principles that he was committed to that said slavery was wrong. You understand what I'm saying? And so his practice of slavery was irrational in many respects. You understand? But the overarching principle of individual liberty and all that kind of stuff, those are based on rational ideas, not on passion. I'm gonna give you, and I know I've been talking a lot here, man, and I'm gonna stop with this. There's a documentary, and you can find it on YouTube, on Barbara Jordan, the congresswoman, Barbara Jordan. She was a Texas congresswoman. It just came out. PBS just put it out. If you want to see what it looks like for a woman to take rational principles, logic, and reason seriously in terms of governing, watch that documentary. Barbara Jordan was one of these, she kind of, I'm going to put it like this. Barbara Jordan, she was a lawyer. She was a trained lawyer. And I'm just going to say it. She kind of had a male perspective on things. You know what I'm saying? And she was a very powerful legislator because she took the law seriously. And I'm saying all this is that she was not, I'm giving you an example of a woman, and these women exist. You have women who are not overly dominated by this fictive worldview, and the passions and emotions and hedonism. Here's the other thing, because that's the thing that the feminists, they put all this hedonism, this reckless hedonism, and not being concerned about consequences and stuff like that, So she's kind of an example of that, you know what I mean? So these people exist, they exist.
Right. So I want to show this on the screen here. This is Helen Andrews. I've talked about her before. She's very much on the right wing, but she's talked about women in law and in other sciences, and speaking about how it's destroying those particular industries or sciences. And Mad Villain NY says Helen Smith, and Helen Smith did write a book called Men on Strike. I do keep meaning to reach out to her. I do have her contact. She went on Kosher Clinician Show, so I'm sure she'll come on here. I did read the book, so those are two different individuals. So I want to kind of just speak about who we, Dr. Neil and I were speaking about.
Yeah.
Chaos, brother. I see you, brother. I'm about to drop off, man. I'm about to drop off, man. Is there something you want to say real quick?
All right. In regards to the feminism, every aspect where they, believe it or not, are failing. I wonder if these, like, even the Handmaid's Tale, and the books and that TV shows, have women have really come to grips that this is the potential future, since they put it through media first, then when in time it comes to fruition? Because that's how they condition the mind first by you seeing it image-wise, then eventually within time it comes to reality.
I think they're scared about the Handmaid's Tale becoming the future, and therefore they're putting it out there as some type of warning. And then they're reacting, as Dr. Neil was saying, they're reacting to it and thinking that this is somehow either real currently or going to be real in the future. And I don't see I don't see that being a reality. There's too many men aren't going to let that happen. So
I'm not sure if I say too many won't allow it, because men move accordingly, and there's other powerful men than regular men at the end of the day that move by other men that's in higher positions. So regardless of men say they're not going to allow it to happen, look at the state of manhood today. And right now, a lot of men have checked out. And if they're not checking out, they're checking out at an accelerated rate. How we know? Because they create more programs and propaganda to condition men to come back here. So if a lot of men are going to defend this, I unfortunately do not see that possible.
Yeah. I don't know, brother. You may be right, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming up. Appreciate you, Dr. Neil. I've been on for 2.5 hours. I'm tired.
I hear you, man.
So,
Thanks
I don't know
for
how these
me up,
brothers
man.
do
You
these.
had-
I don't know how these
Yeah,
brothers
it
do
was-
these 3 and 4 5-hour marathon shows, man. I'd be tired. So
I hear you. I hear
It's
you. I
2
hear you,
hours,
man.
man. It's 2 hours, not
Yeah.
3 hours, man. You never did a 3-hour show yet. I know, Dr. L. So stop talking.
I don't think I did one
Stop
either.
it.
It ain't gonna be
Stop it.
tonight either.
I hear you.
I did it years ago, and I don't see the importance of it. Maybe I have a panel, maybe, but I don't really stay on here for more than 2 hours. And that's the time I go less than that now. So
yeah.
Well, cool, man. Shout out to you, brother, and thank you for bringing me up. Shout out to you, Chaos, man. And I will see you next time around, man. Take care.
All right, y'all take care. Have a great night. Let me just go over the poll numbers here before we log off here. So the poll numbers are: we had 80 votes. Has feminism been a net positive for everyone? 12% said yes, 75% said no, and 12% said depends. So that is the numbers there. Feminism from this panel has said it has not been a net positive for everyone. Appreciate you guys for all sticking around. Appreciate AJC for the $20 and BMI. Dr. Neil, appreciate the $10. Make sure you hit the like button. Everyone have a great weekend. Stay safe. Take care. Appreciate you guys. Take care. Have a great night.